All right, good morning, everybody. We are pretty much trading the same as the trade plan from last night. The only exception is we have formed a pretty obvious micro pullback inside of that value of yesterday. So basically just look for rotations until we can stay above that value high or below that value low. Just continuing to build up that value from yesterday. They are not threatening that lower tail just yet. If you do have a lot of value building below that value low, then that lower tail is very weak. It's also that rollover gap as well. So keep an eye on that. But as of right now, they're just kind of waiting for the FOMC maybe, who knows. But very strong micro pullback for now. Okay, same story on NASDAQ. The only difference is it tried to push that higher value, and so far we're pulling back. So keep an eye on that pullback to that value low. But same thing, basically showing a micro pullback, just a little bit more bearish because you did fail to push that higher value. So staying above 902 or below 691. Right now we are still rotating back to that 691 because we failed the upper value. A little bit of a weird open here because NASDAQ is opening below VWAP and you're failing VWAP. ES is opening above VWAP and it's bouncing off VWAP. So a little bit of a mix. We'll see which one is actually stronger today. For you guys trading SpaceX, SpaceX is on fire today. Trading at 210 already. So that the extension targets that I gave, you've already hit the first cluster, the second cluster, and the final target was around 223. When it hits that final target, we'll go ahead and grab new ones. What percentage is that already from the IPO? It's already 40% from the IPO. Pretty crazy. It has a larger market cap than Amazon already. That's pretty crazy. Good morning, AT. Good morning, Scott. Patriot, Crown, Stronger, Banana, Ram. Good morning, Scott C. Good morning, Scott D. A lot of Scots this morning. Good morning. Larry, Music, Peter, Morris, Roma, Andreas. Good morning, Luis. Lumir, Orion, Matesh, Martin, Greg. Good morning, Ike. Sebastian. Typhoon. Good morning, Creso. Good morning, Ken. Kirito, Tamer, Sean, Joseph. Good morning, Anthony. Good morning, Spirits. Appreciate you guys being here. Good morning, good morning. It hit 230 last night. Oh, you mean on SpaceX? What was it, like a big move on the pre-market? I don't see that it hit 230. What are you talking about? You talking about something else? Good morning, Faraj, Mark, Chuck, Stream. Good morning, Lulu, Panama. Looks like the VWAP on ES is the proper VWAP, the move I mean. We're pushing away from that VWAP, and it looks like it's pulling NASDAQ up. Yeah, it doesn't show it hitting 230 for me, so I'm not sure. Oh, it's doing that trading view thing where you have to put it on 24 hours. Yeah, there is a little bug every now and then where you can see more on 24 hours. Let me see if I can catch it. It's probably because it was on the maintenance period. Yeah, it still doesn't show up for me. That's weird. Might have been broker specific or something, not sure. You want to say I'm Trevor? Oh yeah, by the way, guys, wanted to clarify because I rewatched my video on the ADIS settings and I wasn't very clear. Here's the thing I used in the video. This code only works for these two plans, the annual and the lifetime. It does not work on the lower plans. Sorry about that. I was not clear about that in the video. But that's why we're doing the bonus for the Discord. So if you use the code on the annual plan, you get a 1-month Discord bonus. If you use it on the lifetime, you get 3 months Discord. So it's just my way of helping you guys out because I know these plans are still pretty expensive even after the 10% off. But yeah, I have no control over that. I didn't get to pick like which plans they worked on. That's not in my control. That is just what they offered me. So it works on the annual plan and the lifetime plan. Which, by the way, it should work on any of the plans, like the Ultra, the Pro, and then whatever the other one's called. Failing VWAP yet again on NASDAQ. So it looks like that buy pressure on the ES VWAP is now being dragged down by the sell pressure on the NASDAQ VWAP. Bit of a choppy morning here because they are not agreeing with each other. Yeah, it's weird. You guys are both seeing the 230. Yeah, I don't see it on my end, so it must be a trading view issue. That's a crazy high. 230 puts it at what, like 50+%? And that would have been our target as well. Yeah, 53%. Keep an eye on those EMAs. Ever since they formed, you are doing a pretty good job holding on to them. 30-minute EMAs. Daily still looking a little ridiculous. Obviously, only been a couple of days. Today, the options, I believe, become available. It's either today or tomorrow. I don't know if it meant like Tuesday at the end of the day or Tuesday at the start of the day. I'm assuming their option premium is going to be massively pumped up. Keep an eye on VWAP on ES here, pulling back into that 26. Still just seeing that chop from the micro pullback. Very common to see chop like this. All right, it's not pretty, but if you guys want to watch SpaceX, I put it there. Very hard to say which one is leading today. We're getting like a little bit of both. ES now back above the EMAs and NASDAQ back above VWAP, even though that sell pressure was pushing you below VWAP. Like I said, we're in a micro pullback, so you're basically a coin flip until you break out a value. Keep an eye on those trade plan levels. 902 is the upper level on NASDAQ, 638 on ES, basically high of day. So we're waiting to see if that high of day can be taken out. Okay, sorry, I was looking for that damn hotkey to get rid of all the panels. I forgot what it was. It is Shift F if you guys ever need that to get rid of all the panels. Good morning, Roman. Other IPOs that behaved like this and still ended up being exit liquidity, pretty much all of them. And pretty much every major IPO since like COVID, they've all kind of followed that same pattern. It's just like a very typical IPO pattern. It's more so the rule than an exception. More often, they are going to kind of sell off a bit and then accumulate. Even if they go up like this, like PLTR did. PLTR had a very good IPO, and then it absolutely nuked like a 6 months, a year later. It's just a very common IPO pattern. I believe like Uber did it, Airbnb. Pretty much any of the IPOs around the COVID era. I think Snowflake did it as well. Very often the IPOs are going to find an accumulation before just going on like a generational run. Is there a way to pin trading view charts? I don't think there is. No, there is not. Yeah, people are just too obsessed with stuff like that, Ike. I don't really... I mean, I get it's a cool number and all, like, people like talking about it, but I think people are just too obsessed with numbers like that. I think when people see numbers like that, they literally think of, here, let me get an image. I'll get you the image I'm thinking of. They literally think of something like this. They think of, like, Scrooge McDuck with his millions of coins. Like, they're like, oh, Elon's a trillionaire. He must just have a room in his house just full of gold coins and dollars. Like, people don't understand that that money is locked up in assets. He's a trillionaire off of assets, right? He's a trillionaire off of stock value. And even then, it's not like he's a full-on trillionaire, because if he started selling all of his stock to make $1 trillion, he wouldn't make $1 trillion, because he would absolutely plummet the price of the stock, right? But like I said, it's a fun number that people talk about, but it is massively misunderstood. People don't understand market cap. They don't understand net worth. Yeah, that's the nicest way I can say it, really. It's not Scrooge McDuck diving into millions of coins, is my point. Losing VWAP here. Keep an eye on the rotation back down to the value low. Today's rotation's pretty small in the grand scheme of things, but yesterday's rotation is about double that size. So keep an eye on 691. But he can borrow money against his assets. Well, you're already thinking farther ahead than what I was talking about. You've already thought about it more than most people. Come on, Ryder. Oh, is that right, Karini? Yeah. There might be a setting for that. Like, maybe there's a setting to, like, keep the levels the same. I'm not sure. Thoughts on dividend ETFs, especially the weekly payout ones? I think they're fine. I think as long as you do your research on, like, which ones are well managed, they don't have, like, very high expense ratios, and the assets under management are pretty high. Like, they're just basically a reputable place that has the ETF. Yeah, going back to what I was saying, it's just one of those things. It's like, who gives a shit? It's like, does it affect your trading? No. Should you spend your time caring about it? No. People waste so much time caring about a lot of things that are literally just a waste of their time, right? A lot of sell pressure coming in here. Keep an eye on those value lows, 691 and 607. We need to see this get outside of this micro pullback value. Already at 221 on SpaceX. Oh, and by the way, these candles are not all green. It's because I have my indicator on. So my indicator is coloring the candles. Okay, here's our final target. So this is the very first extension on SpaceX. If we take our fib targets, so first zone, second zone, third zone. So now we can delete this. Remember that target was like 223. So delete that. Unfortunately, there's not really another great place to grab an extension. We would have to just grab the most recent move. And it would look like that. So like 240 and then like 260. Want a Ringo? Want a Philip? Want a Rider? It's always funny to see like which company the market cares about for those market cap headlines, right? Because we were doing the same exact shit when Nvidia was blowing up. People were caring about Nvidia's market cap. And they were saying like, oh, we just made another McDonald's. Oh, we just made another Microsoft or whatever, right? And now they don't talk about Nvidia's market cap anymore. Now it's SpaceX. Traders are so nomadic, I guess you would say. Staying below that ADMA here, still rotating downward. Keep an eye on that lower rotation. 607 is yesterday's value low. And then 691. Pretty extended on SpaceX. Fair value would be like 215. You've only had one purple shading on SpaceX since the IPO, and it was the bottom. You've only had one blue pivot as well, same level. That was around 160. Not enough data for the 30-minute. Still waiting on that. A little bit of a bull div here. It's kind of a weird one on NASDAQ. You're kind of absorbing the sell pressure because you have more delta on this move down, but it's obviously putting in a higher low. It's a full session volume profile, so it just takes the entire day. Okay, we said fair value was what, 215? Yeah, it moved up to 216, so here's that pullback. On space, I mean. Keep it on VWAV. It continues to bounce back to 630 here. Doesn't really matter until we stay above 638. We are just stuck in between yesterday's value. Good morning, Jay. If you guys are just coming in, I mentioned this earlier, but I'll mention it one more time. It wasn't clear in that video for the code for Addis, but it only works on the annual and lifetime plan. That's why we were doing the Discord bonus. So if you guys are trying to use that code on like the monthlies, that's why it's not working. It should work on all of the plans, but it only works on the annual and lifetime. So like it works on the Pro, the Ultra, and then whatever the other one's called, but only on the two large ones. But yeah, for you guys that were looking for that code, it is BREW10. All one word, all caps. If you need your Discord bonus, just send me an email with your receipt. Pretty good bullish delta coming in here. Keep an eye on that 38. See if we can break out of that value. So far, no breakout. Tomorrow will be the first meeting with the new chair. Yeah. With Warsh. He might be talking about his like restructure of, or basically his plan moving forward. Big things that he doesn't like that Powell and like the other Fed were doing is he wants to end like quantitative easing pretty much entirely. He wants to reduce the balance sheet. He wants to stop relying so heavily on the dot plot. He doesn't like using the dot plot, looking that far ahead with lagging data. He wants to rely more on the bond yields. I think it was like, what, the 2-year yield and stuff like that, like the short-term yields. They wanted to change how they are factoring in the PCE, using more of like a mean or like an average or something like that. But he'll talk about all that shit, I'm sure. We'll see. But he just has like different plans. I was talking about yesterday that I was surprised that the UFC event went off without like any bomb threats or gunshots or like any weird stuff going on. And now today they released a report saying they arrested a bunch of people for a terror. They had like a terror plot to use bomb drones on the UFC 250. So thankfully they caught those guys and it didn't kill anybody. But yeah, very surprised there wasn't any major security threats on that event. So right here, you had a potential trap on the Momo where you started gaining momentum again on the short term, but you were not able to really bounce off that trail. So a little bit of sell pressure, and then you lost that momentum. So no trap here. This is on space, by the way, not on ES. They're saying the U.S.-Iran peace deal will be signed on Friday, if nothing changes. Yeah, exactly. When Friday comes around, we'll see if it actually happens. It's interesting that it's happening on a market holiday, so it's going to be very interesting seeing how much volume you get if it does happen on Friday, because it is a market holiday. And thinking about like when it would happen, it would probably happen after the market was closed, even though. So the market is technically closed, right? But the futures market still trades for a few hours. But the deal might happen even when the futures market is closed. So it's going to be interesting to see how the market reacts on Sunday or Monday, because they don't really have time to properly react on Friday. Which, by the way, if you guys didn't know, Friday's closed. It's a holiday. Well, it depends on your definition of given. They're not being given $300 billion. $300 billion is being unlocked from a construction fund. I think it's like a Saudi Arabia fund or something like that. They're like frozen assets being unfrozen. Which, like I said, I'm not saying if it's a good or bad thing. I don't get into shit like that on this channel. I'm just clarifying the facts. Once again, it's not a Scrooge McDuck thing. It's not a here's a room full of gold coins. Yeah, Typhoon, it's just semantics, right? The market sees it. Is it opening the strait? And are the bombs going to stop? If the answer is yes, then it's a peace deal, right? All the other details, the market does not really give a shit about. Is the flow of oil going to go up? Is the supply of oil going to slowly or very fast go back to the way it was, right? And honestly, I'd say the market cares more about that than it actually cares about the bombs. I think if the strait was fully open somehow and the bombs were still going off, the market wouldn't care. Like I always say, you guys need to learn how to separate politics from the market, from your market analysis, right? The market does not really give a shit about what's going on with the US and Iran. It cares about what's going on with oil. Okay, here's that rotation back down to 607. We are still inside of that same exact rotation we talked about on the trade plan. Until that breaks out, we are just not really doing anything but chopping. So the rotation for just today, if you ignore yesterday, it is about 10 points, which is incredibly small for the volatility that we've been seeing recently. The rotation from yesterday is 30 points, which is more reasonable. That is from 38 to 07. So keep an eye on 07 down here. We tried to test that 38 level multiple times. It did not like it. So most reasonable place is going back to that value low. It is a very standard D-shaped rotation. There is nothing crazy about it. Trying to put in another bull div here. Trying to sweep these 30-minute candles. Basically what it's trying to do is it's trying to protect its current value low, not yesterday's value low. Okay, still rotating downward. Just keep an eye on that 07. Very aggressive for now, staying below that 80 MA. This is a good pullback on SpaceX because it was outside of fair value. At the time, it was like 215. Now we are below that, so it's okay here. If it holds below like 206, then it's getting unfair again. By the way, this is an extremely common Tuesday before an FOMC, right? We talk about it every single FOMC week. Monday and Tuesday, if they're being like by the book, you want to see them kind of creating D shapes, chopping around, waiting for that Wednesday FOMC. Whatever that data is coming out after the FOMC as well. You do not want to trust too many one-directional moves on Monday, Tuesday, going into an FOMC on Wednesday, right? Especially this one being the first FOMC for the new head. One thing we need to keep an eye on is, does he mention anything about getting rid of the press conference for every single FOMC? Because they're not supposed to do a press conference for every FOMC. That's something new that Powell started during COVID. There's only supposed to be a press conference when they do their SEP. The economic projections, right? Which is only, what is it, quarterly or semi-annual? I think it's quarterly. Um, but hopefully he keeps them every meeting. I'm trading the new contract, so you are very likely trading the old contract. The old contract has lower volume. Over 500,000 options contracts on SpaceX have already traded since going live. Hey, Jake, no problem, man. You can see it on all my charts, Chris. It's you, 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 you. September is the new contract. ES contracts are quarterly. So June goes to September. September goes to December. December goes to March. Not a great 30-minute candle on SpaceX. If it loses that impulse candle of the day, losing 200, that is pretty weak. Trying to put in a pivot here on ES, but it is failing. Keep an eye on that 07. That is that full rotation of yesterday. We failed that 38 level multiple times. It topped out a little bit early. I think it topped out at 37. But here comes that rotation back to 07. That's a 30-point move. You have a 5-minute pinch on the downside, so a little weak there. Keep it on this 30-minute close. You might have a couple of single prints going back to 19. Nothing too crazy. Couple of single prints there going up to 19. And here is the 07 level. So rotation is finished. That's about a 30-point rotation. Is it going to stay outside of that value, though? That's the big point here. If it starts building below 07, it becomes very dangerous because this lower tail is extremely weak. And then below that lower tail is that massive gap, which lines up with the FOMC weekly open. Is there a single print from yesterday? I don't remember if we have any open. I think there was like, didn't we have like one open or something like that? No, we finished all of them yesterday. We filled them all in on that pullback at the close. They were all kind of in this upper area here, then we pulled back into them. We don't have any local single prints, just that big gap. Keep an eye on those EMAs, still very aggressive here. A little bit of absorption on the load there. You're trying to bottom out, but there's just no momentum here. That pinch is still pushing you down. You still have room to fall on the 30-minute as well. If we break the previous day's value low, would that be considered a P-shaped failure? Not exactly, because the P-shaped failure would be the same day. Like, that pattern is the same day. It's the same idea. You are failing yesterday's P-shape, but it's not a same-day pattern, basically. Or sorry, it's not a multi-day pattern. But because we are a micro pullback, you could really just see this. Like, if we want to do something like this, we could just put these together as one day, and then it would be a P-shaped failure because we're losing that value low. So it's like the same idea. You're just not trading it as a single day pattern. That semiconductor ETF is kind of topping out a little bit. Might come back down for that gap fill. Small bull div on SpaceX here. We'll see if it can get back above that trail at 211. Still very aggressive on ES and NASDAQ, staying below that 80 MA. Yeah, there's absorption here on the 07 node, so it's trying to protect that same exact level, 07. Our levels are just spot on today. We said 38. You topped out at 37, missed it by 1 point. We said '07. Here's '07 right here, finishing a 30-point rotation. It just shows you how strong those prior day value levels are. SpaceX not able to take that bull div above the trail, so it's already kind of failing. Very similar pattern on ES, funny enough. There's a bull div. We'll see if it can break the trail at 615, which is also the 24. Now turning into a sweep, can it fill in those single prints going back to 19 or 20? And once again, it's not like we're bouncing in the middle of nowhere. We are bouncing off the value low of yesterday, damn near the open of yesterday as well. You're not seeing a ton of bullish follow through here. You have a lot of bearish delta being stuck, but you don't have a lot of bullish delta coming in to flip that. I couldn't tell you, Jake. I've never used deep charts. I'm not sure. I haven't used like any new platforms that have come out in the last like 10 years, maybe like 10's too far. Maybe 5 years. Except for Addis. Like Addis is like the newest platform I've used. I've been using TradingView for like 10 plus years. Trade of 8, 10 plus years. NinjaTrader, 10 plus years. And then Addis we started using, I think it was like 21, 22, somewhere around there. Gotcha. So on Addis, if you're using continuous, you save it as a template to save all your levels, and then you use the template. Gotcha. Okay. Here's that trail. So as I always say with the Momo, if you have a bull div, you always target the trail. And then from the trail, does it turn into a big trade? You don't look for a big trade immediately. You try to see how it responds to that trail. So here is that trail. Good morning, John. And sorry, if it's not obvious, this is not an Addis. This is just a TradingView window that I'm putting over top of my Addis. Everything else is Addis. Okay, absorption turning into a bull div, turning into a single print fill-in. Here's the single print fill-in. And is this just a single print fill-in? We don't know. Keep an eye on VWAP. Turning into a bear flag in a VWAP. I don't know the price of NT. They've changed it a lot recently. I haven't looked at the price in forever because I bought a lifetime plan like 11 years ago, 12 years ago, whenever it was. As far as the footprint, back when we were using it, it was fine. NinjaTrader is very similar to Addis. I just think Addis is just slightly better in like many small ways. It's not like a massive improvement. It's just like a bunch of small things. It's just better. It's faster. The UI is better. It's just a bunch of small improvements, basically. And with all their new widgets and like their new heat map and stuff, they're probably a lot better now. But I couldn't tell you because I haven't traded on NT in a long time. Here's VWAP come up at 24. So we are through that trail. So the bull div gave you the small trade into the trail, and now it's giving you a runner. And then when it re-loses the trail, the runner's dead. Or it depends on how aggressive you want to be. You could keep your stop below the low, but that's pretty aggressive. Usually when it loses the trail, it's dead. Like somewhere around like 10. Single print's filled in. No real signals on the 5-minute here, just a strong reversal bar. Nothing on the 15 as well. And nothing really on the 30 as well. 30 is back testing a lot of resistance. Pretty much everything is lining up around like 25, the middle of the range. But not being able to stay above 25 is the problem. Let's check back in with SpaceX. There's the bull div on SpaceX hitting the trail. So almost following ES perfectly. Looks like they are not getting a runner on SpaceX just yet. Could be a very small bulldog, hard to say. A big thing with Addis over NT is you don't need all the third-party add-ons. Yeah, I don't use any add-ons on Addis. They have a couple, but I don't use any. Yeah, if you guys are trying to get Addis, we just put out a video yesterday for all my settings, and I know you guys have been waiting on the video for a long time. And it came with a promo code. So the promo code is right here, Brew10. It only works on the annual and lifetime plans. And you get a Discord bonus for using that code. Yeah, code is Brew10 for the annual and lifetime. It doesn't matter which plan it is, like the Pro, Ultra. I think it's like Plus, Pro, Plus, Ultra, something like that. Addis does not provide data. You have to get data from somewhere else. They have a list of data providers that you can plug in, but they themselves do not provide data. So you get it from Rhythmic, DX Feed, your prop firm, like whatever, right? I just use the Apex account. It's the cheapest way to do it. Because you can literally just pay for an Apex account and you basically get the data for free because the price of data is the price of an Apex account. And then if you get it to a paid account, which this one is, you just pay a one-time fee and there you go, your data is paid for. Yeah, instead of paying $30 a month for data, you literally can just buy a $50 or a 50K account on Apex for around that same price, 30, what, 35 bucks, whatever it is, when it's 90% off. And you not only get the data, you get the account as well. So not quite a bear flag in the VWAP. It basically was, but you did not tap the VWAP, unfortunately. More so a trap. The buyers are just being trapped. Which you can kind of see on the Momo here. It's quickly going back into sell pressure. Not a good sign that you're trapping like this because it should be rotating fairly easily back from 07 to 38. That is the rotation of yesterday. If you're stuck in a D-shaped profile, you should rotate from one side to the other fairly easily, right? So this could be seen as a failure to rotate. And a failure to rotate on the downside here is pretty painful because that lower tail yesterday is very weak. Putting in a higher low on SpaceX. We'll see if it can actually bottom there. It is on a 5-minute support as well. Kind of on a 5-minute cliff. If it loses that level, it's looking pretty bad. Yeah, everything you see on my screen is Addis except for this window right here. These are all the new widgets it just added. Market pressure, in the most basic sense, it's really just like reading the tape and like reading how the orders are coming in. It's basically just doing your very basic order flow analysis for you. Yes, Oscar, for Addis, you have to use the rhythmic data. They used to allow the trade evades connection. It was not Addis that broke that. It was because NinjaTrader bought trade evades, and Addis is obviously a competitor to them. So you can't directly pull your feed from Tradeovate into Addis anymore. There's still a way to do it, but it's pretty complicated. You have to like go through NinjaTrader. You have to do like a plugin thing, and then you can send it to Addis. I don't know how to do it exactly because I haven't done it myself, but some people in the community have done it. But yeah, it's because NinjaTrader bought Tradeovate a few years back, so you can thank them for that. Almost no correlation with oil anymore. No, I don't think there will be until there is a definitive deal. Oh yeah, how's the gas average doing? Because gas has gone down a lot by me. I'm not sure how the average is doing though. Yeah, the average is down to about $4. It spiked at 440. Yeah, 440. So we should start seeing that come down pretty rapidly with oil. I say rapidly, it's pretty lagged. It's going to take a few months and then come down rapidly. Slow at first and then fast, basically. They haven't updated it this week, I don't believe. No, they have not. It should update tomorrow with the EIA. Yeah, look at that drop in oil here. Massive drop in oil. Down 35% from the high. We are still up. This is kind of where it went crazy. We are still up about 15%. That's actually not that bad. I thought it was up a lot more than that. We're up 15% from where it started going nuts. Yeah, exactly. Gas goes up fast, comes down slow. Exactly. Yep. They like to keep those high prices as much as they can. It just becomes like a bidding war, right? The gas stations just start lowering their price, then the one down the street lowers their price, and then so on and so forth. Putting in a higher low here, keep an eye on that VWAP. Protecting that 30-minute low and that 07 level. Yeah, there's a lot of shit you can do on Addis. Addis has a lot of options. Like people see my template. This isn't even close to half the shit you can do. Like you guys can make insane templates. You can do the heat map stuff now. They released that heat map, which I still want to make a video on. I want to try out their 3D heat map. That looks pretty cool. You can do all kinds of charts with like the range charts, Renko charts, order flow charts, tick charts. I mean, like I said, I'm showing you guys like 10% of the platform. They're trying really hard here to push back into that value, but they are just being slapped down every time. They're having the problem I said earlier. They do not have the bullish delta here. They put in a higher low, which showed the responsive buyers. They don't have the aggressive buyers. We don't see that delta coming in. That delta is very weak. No, I don't code in C Sharp. I'm sure I could with Claude. I understand code enough that I can like use AI to help me code it. But I don't code directly in C Sharp, no. The only code I can like directly do, and that's even like a sloppy way, is Python and PineScript. But I have a general understanding on how to read like JSON and C# and Java. Yeah, Flory, that helped a lot, man. I appreciate that. I tested it out and it did stop it from crashing. And I mentioned that in the video as well. I used your tip in the video. Going into your settings and changing your VSync and then your refresh rate. It's because they have an unlimited refresh rate. They have an insanely fast refresh rate on their heat map. And I think it's like quite literally unlimited, so it's like making the platform crash. They probably should put an upper limit on it. I just set mine to my monitor's refresh rate. If you set it to like 200 or 300, you should be fine. And then make sure you're using your proper graphics card. That could be another thing crashing it. It has like an auto setting. So if it automatically chooses to use like your internal graphics, it's probably going to crash. Still trying to hold on to that 30-minute low. You just do not have the bullish delta. You really need that delta to come in here. And that would be easy to see on these indicators here. You would need the price change to skyrocket and the pressure to skyrocket. They're just a little weak. Let's check in on SpaceX here. Still accumulating, no break in structure. Still holding on to that 5-minute trap. They really need to hold on to that 5-minute. Losing that like 205 level is pretty bad. No, I don't wait for the first 30-minute candle. I typically don't trade the first 5 minutes. Which is why you see that I'm late a lot, like by a couple minutes or so. It's usually just because I don't trade the first 5 minutes, so I'm not like in a rush. I usually let it cool off a little bit. But I don't wait like 30 minutes. That's usually too long. I don't try to force a trade in the first 30 minutes, but I'm not going to like have a hard rule to not trade it. Yeah, the options came out earlier today. They've already traded like 500,000 contracts or some shit. Long story short, ES just has more liquidity. It's just a stickier, more liquid asset. With the volatility right now, NASDAQ is pretty rough. NASDAQ is really fast. That's why people are blowing their accounts up in like a day or two, because they're trading on NASDAQ with a lot of contracts. And that's because all the streamers tell them that NASDAQ is like all the buzz, right? Well, it's a gap, so it doesn't have any levels. So you target whatever you want. The actual gap fill is the final level, but it's a gap, so there quite literally are no levels. People are loading up on the 380s for SpaceX, which is insane. That is nearly double the current price. And those expire on Friday. That is insane. Yeah, it's funny. I was looking at people were talking about the bets for like the UFC fights, and they were talking about how they bet on Gaethje on like Polymarket and Kalshi and stuff like that. And I didn't think about that having like better odds than like an actual sports betting app because I bet on Gaethje as well, but I got like one of my bets was like a 5-1 and one was a 7-1. But I think some people on like the prediction markets were getting like 20-1 or something. The prediction markets had like way better odds. They were gonna make like 80K on a 1 mil bet and they lost. That's crazy. Yeah, that's just a dumb bet. That's like some rich kid trying to impress his friends or something. Who the hell puts $1 million down to make 80K? Well, yeah, money is relative. $1 million to that person is probably like 20 bucks to us. Keep an eye on VWAP. Still accumulating below it. You just do not have that buy pressure. No, I'll never trade anybody else's money. I've tried it before. I do not like it. I'm very happy where I am, just trading my own money. It's the same reason I don't like showing my trades anymore. I just don't like the um, people looking over my shoulder. I don't like the outside pressure. I just want to do my thing, right? Trading is already stressful enough. There's already so many outside forces we have to deal with. Putting more outside pressure, like somebody else's money, or like I said, you guys seeing my trades or whatnot, it's just not worth it. It has a massive negative impact. Yes, normally this would be a good variation for VWAP being respected. A couple of bad things I don't like about it. NASDAQ is very far away from VWAP. So if NASDAQ is leading here, it's going to force ES to break VWAP. The other thing is you have to watch the delta surge because this is putting in a pattern that typically will lead to a delta surge, like a little spike. So if that spike happens right when it's hitting VWAP, that would be a bad variation as well. But other than that, it looks okay. Yeah, exactly, Sean. It's just, like I said, it's just outside forces that are just completely unnecessary. Like, I'm not trying to be a professional with a fund. If I was, I would just go work at a firm. I thought about getting like all my certificates and stuff like many years back. I used to talk about that on stream about getting like my analysis certificates and then like the trading ones as well. And then I just realized like quite literally what is the point? It's not like I'm going to use them. I'm not going to try to get a corporate job. And it also just completely goes against my entire philosophy about what I teach every single day on this stream, right? Trying to make you guys your own people and make you guys individuals and not just take your money and put it into a fund and be spoon fed. No, of course you would need to trade like you would need to have it all official. You'd have to have like the business and have all the certificates and do it all legally. Yeah. Yeah, yearly fees. You got to pay the yearly fees for all the certificates and all that stuff. Still protecting yesterday's value low, so eventually, as long as it holds above this, it does want to rotate back to that 640. Okay, nothing has changed here. Still just seeing the lack in bullish delta. They need to start finding that delta, especially in the VWAP, if they want to be rotating back to the value high. Still seeing that rollover volume, where the volume is pretty low. You're kind of mixed between the old contract and the new contract. This is more so a lack of buying than sell pressure holding us down. Keep an eye on SpaceX, just trying to curl back up. You're bouncing off that trail. It's very close to ES. They're kind of following each other a little bit. They're both just kind of chopping around. Still just seeing no buying whatsoever. We're getting a decent amount of seller delta, but just absolutely no buyer delta. Here's that curl on SpaceX starting to kind of have a rollover bottom. Just curling off that trail. Even on VWAP, still not seeing that much bullish delta. It's better than last candle, but not too bad. But not too good, I mean. We have not stayed above a 30-minute high the entire day, so watch those 30-minute highs. It's going to drive those traders absolutely mad. They feel like they have to be in every trade. Well, that is literally like the definition of a D-shaped profile. Like it obliterates traders that want to constantly be aggressive and constantly be trading and constantly looking for breakouts. These D-shaped balance days just destroy them. And that's why I try to repeat over and over and over again, talking about the rotations on these D-shaped days. And our trade plan shows that, right? Our trade plan says holding above the value high, holding below the value low. Yeah, Flory, that's the best way to do it. Like the way I teach the Apex video, like learning it lesson by lesson by lesson. Yeah, once you understand like market structure and candlesticks and stuff like that, you can really get into the indicators and they help a lot. Still not enough data on the 30-minute. We should have enough data next week to start taking a look at the 30-minute on SpaceX. John, I don't recommend anybody outside of Apex because Apex is the only one that I use. I don't like recommending things that I don't use, right? You would be astounded if you saw how many emails I have coming from all these other prop firms to promote them on my stream. But I do not like to promote things that I don't actively use, right? Turning into a B. The cash profile definitely is, but the full session not yet. Getting pretty bottom heavy here. They're building up a ton of bearish delta below 13. If they stay below 07, you're still looking for that overnight low, and then possibly pushing that lower tail. Well, they're the same thing, but you know what I mean. We're pushing the lower tail to the overnight low, and then into the gap. That's if it stays below 07, gets a lot of value down here. Pretty hard to find a lot of volume right now because the contract rollover. They're cutting our volume. But all right, guys, we are going to call it there. I will be streaming in Discord for the rest of today. If you guys are not in Discord, I will catch you guys tomorrow. If you guys did not already, check out that Addis video I put out yesterday going over all of our settings. If you would like to get Addis, you can use our new code. It is BREW10, all one word, all caps. It only works on the annual and lifetime plan. Sorry, I was not clear about that on the video, but it only works on the annual and lifetime plan. If you use it on annual, you get a bonus of 1 month Discord, lifetime, 3 months Discord. How to get the bonus, just send me, here's my email in chat. Just send me the receipt and your Discord and TradingView names on my email, and I will get you guys added to Discord. If you're already a Discord member, I'll just add it to whenever your expiration is on your Discord. But yeah, that's all I got. I appreciate you guys being here. I believe Apex is still 90% off. You can use code BREW on that as well. And hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. Look out for a short later today at 4 p.m. And that's all I got. I'll see you guys tomorrow. If you're in Discord, I'll see you guys there. Peace, everybody.